versus Force.
Too tall, Tops,
Joel
man.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
They're going to be a playoff contender, I think, for the with this nucleus that they have with these three. Russell gives me drives me crazy sometimes, but Towns and Edwards look like they could be that 1-2 punch that we've been hoping for since Marbury and Garnett, to be quite frank.
Well, when you see a 7-footer shooting free throw or 3-pointers constantly, it's like, okay, something's there.
Yeah,
some talent's there.
Well, and of course he needs to be a little bit more force in the paint, and he was last night because Edwards went down with a sprained ankle. That was the unfortunate thing. And then Towns came in and he had 39 points. He was really dominant towards the end.
Was he the one that missed a lot of free throws, though, Carl Anthony?
Yeah, well, a lot of them did. I mean, and they were missing a lot of jumpers early on, and then when it really came down to when they needed it, they were able to get it done. Yeah. So really a lot of fun. Timberwolves in action tonight against Toronto here, and then we also have the Wild, who are also going to look like they're going to make the playoffs. They take on the Winnipeg Jets. The last time that they faced the Jets, it was a lot of fights breaking out. The Wild didn't play all that well. They lost up in Winnipeg, so that should be an interesting one tonight.
If the Wild don't make the playoffs, the wheels are going to have to fall off.
Yeah, exactly. They should be in for sure. Well, they're sitting there. The Colorado Avalanche are so good, and that's kind of annoying because here you got a team you think is going to be really good, and they have a team that's a little bit better. It drives you crazy. It seems like that always happens as a Minnesota
Wasn't it the
sports
Avalanche,
fan.
though, the other night that I watched from the puck drop? I was listening, and they just – I think the Wild got him.
Yeah, they haven't played them a few, but they played Carolina on Saturday night.
It was Carolina.
Are you thinking of Carolina?
Yeah.
Well, Carolina's a good team too. That was a really good game. Yeah, I think you texted me, and I apologize for not responding. I think I was half asleep at that time. So
that was the game.
That was the game
where I sent you the note. That was the one I was thinking of.
That does happen. Yeah. And I remember seeing it, and I'm thinking, are you talking UND? Are you talking?
I was like, what a game! God, this is fun.
And I'm like half asleep going. Yeah.
Derek, I, and Jack have a little sports text club.
Yes.
And we'll sit there and write stupid things to each other. If for no other reason, it'll make us pay attention to a game that the other one knows what's going on. So it's like, oh, okay, Derek's onto something.
It does help, that is for sure. Yeah. Speaking of that, tomorrow, okay, so the LA Rams are having their parade today, right? They won the Super Bowl. They're having their parade. So it sounds like Kevin O'Connell is going to be the man tomorrow. The big announcement coming tomorrow in Minneapolis. So they're going to let him go to the ticker tape parade. And
any doubts?
No.
Any doubts?
No, there's not.
None?
No. I
sure?
really don't. No, I mean, no, I'm not sure, but I don't think that McVay's not going to, if he's going to retire this time around, if he's going the Dick Vermeil thing where he's burning himself out, he's not going to do it anytime soon. And if you're Kevin O'Connell, you're going to take a bird in the bag better than two in the bush, right? You're not just going to wait for him to make that decision so you can stay with the Rams.
Is this kind of the epitome of the Minnesota Vikings, though, that we're sitting here with a coach? It's like, I don't know if I really want to come. If I could have this job, it's like the guy you want is the guy that comes busting through the door saying, get the heck out of the way. We got work to do.
Yeah, I think he will be to that point, too. There's really, I could see where the organization, both the Vikings and O'Connell, let him have that moment, right? He just won a Super Bowl ring, for crying out loud. So I don't have a problem with that. It's just we're antsy and we want to see this actually done because Mike Florial's kind of, bringing this up, getting a little clickbait, I think. So, that's this day and age, too.
So did we pick the right guy?
We shall see. I mean, I don't.
Come on now, I'm asking predictions.
Yeah, but you always want to live in absolutes. Like I think they'll do well. I do, but
what changes?
We don't know.
When he comes in, what changes?
Well, I think one thing with Ed Donatel as a defensive coordinator, they might go to a 3-4. That's going to be interesting because
Vikings haven't been 3-4.
Ever. No. And so, they maybe mixed in a little bit with some different, but no, they've been a 4-3 going back to the Purple People Eaters, right? That's kind of what they are. So that's going to be interesting. Daniil Hunter, can he play the defensive end in a 3-4? Is that what you're looking at? Or are they going to maybe, he has that big bonus coming up, so are they going to maybe look at restructuring that, or maybe he goes to another team?
See, I think Daniil Hunter's an all-pro player. I think he's, if healthy, a player that someday could be in the Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't get healthy, there's no way I'm paying it.
He's played 6 games the last 2 years, right?
He could be the guy that you look at and say, look, we had no choice. We had to let him go. Yeah. I realize he's an all-star over there.
And then he'll end up with another team and win the Super Bowl because he had 15 sacks or
something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't think you can blame
No, it's just it.
It's like I look at the Twins with Big Papi. Everybody's like, oh my God, Big Papi, why did they ever let him go? He didn't perform well as a Twin. It wasn't the right fit.
Yeah, that was destiny comes part of it too, right? He was meant to be a Red Sox and breaking the curse of the Bambino, but I do think that was an organizational philosophy that hurt them a little bit too. I mean, thinking that Matthew LeCroy was going to be a better DH than Big Papi at the time was not a good move by the Minnesota Twins.
No, but did money play into that?
Well, a little bit. They just didn't want to resign him. And they were the one thing people forget, they were very left-handed at the time with Mikheyevich and Brzezinski, and you go down the line. And so they wanted to get a little right-handed power, but unfortunately, Matthew LeCroy was not the guy to replace him.
I just think there's certain players, who was the horse? Was Reggie that played with the Philadelphia Eagles? Reggie White went on to be just a horse with the Packers, right? And, sometimes people end up where they belong.
Yeah, well, I laughed at him when he said, God told me that I got to win a Super Bowl and that the place is the Packers, because at the time the Packers were that good. Last laughs on me. God told him right, because he did win a Super Bowl with the Packers, so against the Patriots. And us Vikings fans just have to deal with it again.
Yeah, exactly. So, for me personally, I look at the whole thing, Derek, as though he needs to get to town. He needs to get here, get to work. We can all of a sudden find ourselves with a coach that's talking about Vikings football every day instead of us speculating whether he's coming. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it'll happen tomorrow. Patience isn't one of your best virtues either. It's a long time until the next.
We're giving him the most important sports job other than playing in Minnesota.
Yes.
Would you agree on that?
Yes.
I mean, he is getting the premier job in the whole state of Minnesota, one of the most beautiful stadiums, a team that isn't ravaged, a team that he could turn into. He doesn't have to rebuild, and he's hanging out at parades. I need him here. That's all I'm saying.
I have patience. He'll be here tomorrow. It's good. It's going to work out.
I hope he's right. All right, stick around. Okay. Derek and I are going to continue this riveting conversation right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community.
Voice of Sports today on the News and Views Radio Network. Do you think, what's his name? The assistant coach for the Rams.
O'Connell?
You think he'll come tomorrow?
Yes. Yes, he will.
I'm just asking.
Yes, he will. Oh, my goodness. I mean, the Chicken Little thing we have with Viking fans on this. Mike Florio is trying to get clickbait. Now, I could have egg on my face and it all blows up in my face tomorrow. But
actually, the longer this goes on, the less concerned I am.
Yeah. No.
Actually, now if they say, well, he isn't going to be here till Friday, now my radar.
Yeah, well, then we all might go, what's going on here?
Wait a second here.
Yeah. And
it better be a hangover.
He stands up at the podium today and says, I can't leave L.A. Did you see the temperature up in Minnesota right now? No, sorry. No, I think he's coming tomorrow. So we'll have it.
So you were mentioning 3-4. You know, when I think of him, I think of offense, though. I don't think of defense. Is this all about a defensive coordinator?
Well, yeah, Ed Donatel, who they hired, and Packer fans are laughing because he was the defensive coordinator when they gave up that 4th and 26 against the Giants at Lambeau Field. So there is that part of it. So we shall see how that all plays out, to what type of, there might be some wholesale changes on that side of the ball this year. They have
there needs to be.
And they have some mix of, veterans like, you sit there with all the different type of guys, some young guys that they drafted the past couple of years, and then your Anthony Barrs and your, I'm going blank on the safety, but he just re-signed his contract, from Notre Dame. So it's just all.
You went blank on a name?
Yeah, I did.
What? What happened? You got a birthday coming up or what?
Yes, I do.
When I look for a name, I call you, man.
I know.
I mean, it's like,
Harrison Smith.
By the way,
Thank you.
Just playing into the fact that it was Reggie White. I knew it was Reggie White.
Harrison Smith, he just signed a big deal, but they want to keep him around too. So there's a lot of things that they're going to have to really make some decisions on.
Stick around. He wants to be mayor of Fargo. We'll visit right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
A frequent listener at all the news and views, you know how much I respect. I really do. I've done it. When you file that paperwork, when you do whatever steps are necessary to get on that ballot, you realize how humbling that can be. And we've got a young man in here with us right now that says, you know what, if you give me the job, I'll do it. I want to be mayor of Fargo, and that's Dustin Elliott. Dustin, good to have you on News and Views.
Absolutely great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Why?
Why, thank you? Or
no,
why?
Why you want to be mayor?
I think it's a job anybody can do. Especially, I've been asked multiple times, what are your qualifications? What makes you the person? I'm a citizen of Fargo. I care about the community, and I want to see it grow into a better place, and I think that's the number one qualification.
So what changes? Because there's a person on the ballot named Tim Mahoney who's been involved in city government for a long time. He's been on the city commission. He was, one of the most popular mayors in Denny Walker's right hand. He took over as mayor, and it's been a while that this city's been under his leadership, which then I ask anybody who wants to take him out from that spot has to tell me, or at least I would think the public, what would be different.
There wouldn't be too much different. Number one thing that would be different is I am fully inexperienced. So any biases or ways that they're currently doing it, that they're just doing it because that's the way they've always done it. And I don't know their processes or their steps or the ways that they make or follow policies. But it's definitely something that I would want to learn, and I want to be on the public side 100%. So I think a lot of the citizens, including myself, don't know 100% how local government runs, operates, and works. And if I am elected mayor, I am going to make that the most public knowledge possible. And I will first and foremost put the citizens, their wants, needs, and what their vision of what they want to see in the city. I want to be able to fulfill that to the best of my ability. From anyone, from the absolute single mom who's struggling to make ends meet to the doctors like Dr. Tim Mahoney that have made it in this world and are an absolute success like he is. I think he's a great success. I think he's a smart man. I think he's done a great job running the city. I just think it's time for some young blood.
Okay. So, and it's a real interesting approach to campaign. I find it, quite frankly, refreshing, which is, I'm not qualified. I don't know the job. I don't know the details of the job. But if you give me a chance, you get a new start because, and here's what I heard, because I'll look at everything with potentially a different light. Is that what I just heard?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Why would I hire you if you don't know what you're doing?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm handsome. I'm funny.
I don't vote that way. If I did, I don't want people to vote that way. Then I never would have got elected.
Right?
Yeah.
I think just the why to hire me, just fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and honestly, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, then let's get specific,
Okay.
and find out what your take on specific things going on in Fargo right now are. I think there's personally a real disconnect between the Fargo School Board and the Fargo City Commission. I think it plays out into your property taxes. I think it plays out into the growth areas of your city. I think that you have neighborhoods that aren't and don't have the ability to be neighborhoods because of what decisions the school boards makes. How do you fix that?
That's a great question. It's not something I've ever really put time, energy, or thought into. And I know that's not, what people want to hear. They don't want to hear, hey, this guy's running for mayor. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's just the honest truth. I don't know how those rules and regulations get put into place. I would immediately put that into what I want to hear directly from the citizens of Fargo. Any kind of, problem, especially with schools, because I have 2 school-age children. They go to West Fargo, but my littlest guy, he's a year and a half. He'll be in the Fargo school system, and any kind of disconnect between the school board and the commission that needs to be addressed. There can't be animosity or anger or resentment between those kinds of those kinds of organizations, because all it's going to do is hurt the community. I think finding out what the issues are so there can be cohesive rules, regulation making, so everybody comes out on top and it's not just one school district that gets the bread and butter and other ones are left behind, and like were you saying that certain districts aren't, I don't even know how you phrased it, I guess, but
well, I don't think that certain areas in the school district are allowed to be neighborhoods because you can go right across the street in a different direction, and that very same family doesn't get to go to the same school you do.
Yeah,
and so therefore you're not going to run into them in school. You're not going to, and I'll give you an example,
Sure.
and it's a burn my saddle, and if there's school board members listening, they know what I'm getting at, but. You can take a growth area as defined by school, and I will give you a perfect example, because if I'm going to pick around the edges of it, just say it, Heitkamp, right? But the Fargo School Board built Davies High School without a vote of the people way down south. Mm-hmm. The city grew that way. Were they wise to do it, knowing that the city was going to grow that way, or did the city and people flock to it because the school was there? I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But that's the only growth area for the city that you reside in and want to be mayor of. Right?
Yeah.
So now you've got all these neighborhoods that are growing up around there that need to be neighborhoods. And because of where they're at with the elementary schools, they can ship somebody further south, way further north, when somebody who is north, they'll take south. Well, how are you supposed to take kids in a playground and say, oh, by the way, we'll see you next week again on the weekend?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It didn't to me. But to me personally, it's all about, making sure kids get to be friends with kids.
Yep.
Now, that's a school board issue.
Yes.
That isn't a Fargo issue. How it pertains to Fargo, though, is how things grow.
Yeah.
How people make a determination in terms of where they're going to live based on the facts show it's absolutely true, based upon parks,
yes,
upon schools, upon roads, the type of things that you are going to be involved with. And so how do you fix that?
That's a huge issue. One that I didn't know was a one that was on people's minds like that. But I fully agree with you, because I made the decision on where I live based specifically on the schools, knowing I was going to have a little baby. But I will agree with you that should have been the decision to build Davies where it was. Should have been a more open conversation with the city in terms of where do we want the city to go? Like you said, that's where people are flocking. And I saw it firsthand as soon as that school opened. That neighborhood, that whole area of town flourished immediately. And I think the lines of where the school districts are, sometimes they don't make sense. Like you were saying, busing people north, south, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and where that pertains to the city, is it pertains to, number one, property taxes. I've had conversations about people think that Fargo's property taxes are through the roof. Agreed or not?
I agree.
Okay. When you look at the percentage of what Fargo pays versus other big metro areas, you could make an argument that they're not. That being said, that doesn't change the fact that it hits you once and one time a year. Where Fargoans are getting it when it comes to property taxes is your evaluations are going through the roof.
That's
people want to buy your home, but you may not want to sell it.
It's crazy to me, being in Fargo now for 15, almost 20 years. The housing market, I can't even begin to describe how fast it is increasing. People can't even afford. I was a single dad for years. Even looking at a home was scary because there was no bank that would approve me. I could get an apartment for $1,500 a month, but a bank wouldn't say, yes, you can afford a $900 mortgage, just because I was a single dad. And I think that is one area that I do want to, if elected, really see what and why and how we can control that so everyday people can afford homes in the city.
Dustin, I'm going to say this because it's going to get brought up after you leave.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to call in. They're going to say it. So why not just say it to your face? Are you ready for this job? I mean, a lot of the facts we're going to talk about, it doesn't appear that you've done homework on.
Nope.
You've checked out. You're coming in with a fresh face saying, listen, if you elect me, I promise I'll give you the resolve to check it out. I respect that.
Yep.
I'll sit there and be completely open to what people bring. I get it. But there's got to be a foundation. And so I'm just going to ask you, are you ready for this job if you get it?
If they called me tomorrow and said, hey, election's off, you're the mayor, I would be shaking. I truly would be incredibly nervous to a point where I'd probably have a little bit of an anxiety attack.
So then why run?
Things like that excite me. They make me excited. I truly believe that things that are the scariest can make the biggest impact, and I'm not one to shy away from a challenge.
Okay.
I think this is going to be challenging.
Let's stick around, take some text messages and some phone calls, okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
Let's do it.
That's what it's all about. All right, stick around. The phone lines are open to you on that Laney's News and Views studio line at 1-800-880-5346. Some text messages coming in as well. To our eye consultants of North Dakota Text Club at 35270. Stick around, more coming your way here on the News and Views Radio Network.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices
Politics,
Force.
two tall tops, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off.
Mayor of the city of Fargo.
I think it would be a prestigious honor and amazing title.
Okay.
And I think it would be really fun.
Okay,
honestly.
let me throw at you what happens when in the world of politics.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yep.
If the guy wants a challenge, maybe you should take up a new hobby. The mayor of Fargo is a hard job, which requires knowledge of issues confronting the city. Your answer to that individual?
He's right. Yeah, absolutely right.
He's right that you should take up a new hobby and not run for mayor?
I've already started this journey, and I'm going to see it through to the end. Regardless if I win or not, I'm going to have the best time. I'm going to talk to citizens of the city. I'm going to see what's, bothering people, what matters to people. And I think it's going to be eye-opening regardless if I win or not.
There are people who are going to nod their head when I read this next text message.
Okay.
And so keep that in mind, Dustin. It says, I think Dustin is too honest to be a mayor, to be the mayor. Your thoughts on that?
If honesty is a negative thing to have, I'm good with that negativity.
I think what they're getting at is you're talking about all your inexperience and lack of knowledge and just doing this because you think it'd be neat to do and cool to do is very honest. But there's a lot of ladies sitting there having their cup of coffee at the senior center right now that you're not getting their vote.
That's okay with me.
Okay.
Regardless if they vote for me or not, I'm the kind of person that's going to care about them as people. Everybody's got their own opinion. Everybody's got their own idea of what they want to see in a leader. And I'm not going to fit everybody's box. And
okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Here's another example, I think, of what they're getting at. At least he doesn't lie and promise things like Preston and Mahoney. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
That's the world you've entered.
Yeah.
These are 2 public servants. They've served this city in many different capacities for a long time, and they just got called liars. So I mean that happens in the world of politics.
It does, and I see it all the time. I think we saw it a lot with like the big presidential races. We see it with the local races. I'm not going to make any promises to anybody. I can't even make a promise that I would be a good mayor. I think I would be a good mayor. And I will do my absolute best if elected. Low chance, obviously, but hey, I'm here to see it through.
If I were sitting at a public forum and every one of you mayoral candidates are there and you're looking for the job, probably the first question that would pop in my head to ask you, because right now you have such a labor shortage. You don't have workers. Right? The city of Fargo needs workers.
Okay.
And it needs to be able to pay the workers that it would attract workers to come to the city for. Right? That being said, one of the biggest problems that not just Fargo, but many metro areas have is you don't have affordable housing. The housing that's being built, you look at West Fargo, South Cheyenne and that area, you know, I'll be honest with you, I never will be able to afford a house out there, but that's fine. That's, you know, but my point is there is an affordable housing being built for new family startup. Fix it. If I elect you mayor, fix it. How do you fix it?
I think there's an opportunity with some of the older like apartment buildings that are scattered throughout the city. There's more apartment buildings in Fargo than I can even probably count. I'm sure there's a specific number, but from everything I have heard, most of those apartment buildings are 50% full. Why not make deals with those rental companies for families that do need housing assistance to reduce payments or find a building that maybe they don't want anymore, have it turned over to the city. We can, as city, as taxpayers, we can take care of our less fortunate citizens and provide them with a building, a home, a room, somewhere where they can build up to the next stage of their life.
I think I maybe phrased it wrong. Fargo is a city, 60-40 renters. 60% of the people rent. Other cities this size, it's the opposite. Fargo, their city is 60% of the people own their home. I'm not talking about a place for people to live. I'm talking about a place for them to buy. And so there's a lot of young families that are in their 20s that are just getting started out at life that need a $250,000 home, and they can't find one. How do you fix that?
That's a great question. I don't even have an answer for it. And I feel for those people right now because there's, like you said, the shortage in homes is something that I see it, and I've went through it, and I've went through the whole home buying process. It is so difficult and hard to find a house. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what we can do as a city. Do we, take a whole giant neighborhood and build it brand new? I mean, I don't know the whole.
I always wonder if the city put the same dedication into what we're talking about that they put into, for example, downtown Fargo. Yeah. If they put that same level of energy, they couldn't get something done. But I think that's it. That might be a conversation for another day. Dustin, how do people check out your campaign? Where do they go?
Head over to Facebook. Dustin for Mayor of Fargo is the name of the page. Send me a message anytime you want. All my contact information is out there for you.
Ton of text messages here. The one thing that I'll absolutely agree with them on is you're honest. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Dustin Elliott, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to talk about everything from airlines to guns. Stick around.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to
Exactly. Just getting a
that's
pulse.
what that was.
Getting a pulse.
I'm going to ask them how that pulse was.
You talk about, okay, there's foundations that heritage radio stations are built upon.
Yeah.
Look at the news team that Keys 660 has. That's a foundation. How many times do we call up there?
A lot.
That's right. Same thing here, right? There's a foundation. So if you see me get up and leave, albeit for a very brief moment of time, and then you get nervous that I'm not going to come back and studio.
When our statewide intro is playing and Joel is not in
just
here.
know that I'm checking on the foundation.
What do you, that's a new one that you've said to me. What's the other one? Oh, let the art flow.
Yeah, let the art flow.
The amount of times I hear Joel say that to me in a week, he'll just say something just dumb. And he'll be like, let the art flow.
Just let the art flow. Let's see where it goes.
But
let's talk about a couple of things today. Dr. Thomas Ambrosio is going to join us. The man is really good. Don't you think the professor is really good? He's a professor at North Dakota State University. You're a graduate of NDSU. Did you take one of his classes, or wasn't that in your course of study?
No, I was a political science minor, but I didn't get him as a professor, and I wish I would have.
If you were going back there, you'd sign up for one
for
now.
Sure.
I mean, the guy's good. He's really
good. And he
good.
explains everything very well for someone who, like, if you don't know anything about the situation in Russia, Ukraine, first, you're probably living under a rock. But if not, he'll explain it to you in the easiest way to understand.
Yeah. And this is what I have to force myself to do, which is I call it globe, because that's how old I am, right? But I have to go to the map. I have to go to the Google, right? And look at it and say, okay, where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it in proximity to other countries? Okay, now I can see Poland. I can see its relationship to Crimea. I can see, how this tied into the old USSR. I can see, why this would be so important to Vladimir Putin and why it ticks him off that it's gone. I can understand why Ukraine is geographically as important as what it is. Most importantly, though, important I think to Putin is the fact that he wants the old USSR back. And so we'll visit with Thomas Ambrosio about that, and we'll get his take over whether or not this thing's gone even farther. He believes that unless he's changed his mind, and he'll be able to tell you himself in a little bit, but he believes that they're going in, that Russia is going in, that there's no question they're going to invade Ukraine. And so we get a chance to talk about that. Now, remember this about no one paid a heavier price in World War II with body counts than Russia. No one even close. The Russian people suffered more fatalities in World War II than anyone involved in the Allied forces. That being said, most of that came in the area of Crimea and Ukraine. And so there's a lot of history there. I'm not trying to defend what Russia's doing. That you're going to take that wrong. I know you're going to. But know there's a history there, which is why I'm so anxious to talk to Dr. Ambrosio about this and get his take on it. Somebody texted in and said Tom is every political science major's favorite professor. See, he didn't know he was going to end up with like a whole, club here on News and Views, a whole group of people that were just going to be like members of his clique or hoping to be members of his clique. What?
He has a fan club now.
Yeah.
People are already calling him with questions for him.
He has groupies.
Yeah.
Right. So when he gets here, tell him he's got to skip the class because we're gonna hang on to him for a while. I want to share with you some stories and then see if these stories, what effect they have on you. Ready? A passenger flying with Alaskan Airlines in March struck a flight attendant and urinated in his seat after refusing between 8 to 10 requests to put on his mask. The passenger also urinated on a fellow traveler's bag and was charged with interfering with a flight crew. In May, a passenger flying with Southwest Airlines struck a flight attendant and chipped 3 of her teeth. The flight attendant also suffered bruising near the eye and a cut which required stitches. The incident prompted the president of the local 556 TWU a union representing over 15,000 Southwest flight attendants, to urge Southwest CEO Gary Kelly to help with the intolerable level of disruptive incidents they were seeing. The passenger pled guilty in December to interfering with a flight crew, a charge that carries a possible sentence of up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Ask yourself this: would 20 years of prison and a $250,000 fine had caused this passenger to act any differently? Would that have been a deterrent, right? Here's another one. I want to make sure I get this right. A Delta Airlines was diverted in June after an unruly passenger began trying to make announcements over the plane's loudspeakers. Several passengers and crew members attempted to wrestle him away and were ultimately able to restrain him in the aisle. There's actually a video of that. At the time, witnesses were unsure if he was trying to open the cabin door or hijack the plane, though Delta later claimed he had attempted neither. Another one, duct-taped. A passenger aboard an American Airlines flight in July was forcibly restrained to her seat with heavy duct tape after allegedly assaulting and biting a flight attendant while trying to open the boarding door. Footage of the woman bound to her seat was later shared to deleted from TikTok, but not before amassing over 4 million views. The woman was met by law enforcement upon landing. American Airlines confirmed she was also placed on the carrier's no-fly list. Another one, choking a flight attendant. Do I need to give more examples? Or do you have an idea now of what these flight attendants and what these staffs are going through, these gate attendants? I flew home last week from Washington, D.C. I went out there on Wednesday, got back on Friday. It was a short trip to say goodbye to a friend. Joe Donnelly, former United States Senator from Indiana, went to the Vatican, where he has been appointed to be the ambassador. So I got to see him, got to say congratulations to him, got to have a beer with him and say, you know what, go get him. Say hi to the Pope for me, kind of a thing, right? Well, on my way back, I flew out of Reagan in D.C. at about, I think, got on the plane at 6 o'clock their time, 5 o'clock our time, somewhere around there. Got into Minneapolis, and everything went to heck in a handbasket. Remember what the weather was like last Friday. So I'm not blaming the airlines, but yet I am blaming the airlines at some point, because at some point along the way, Delta Airlines put a pretty low priority on that flight into Fargo. So, you know, a flight can get delayed here and there, but at 7 o'clock, I was still sitting at night in the Minneapolis airport with, I might add, as required, a face mask on. Now, I don't know how many of you wear a face mask all day. I know teachers have been put in that position. I know students have been put in that position. But I wore a face mask that day from 5 in the morning, actually 4 in the morning, to 8:30 at night when I got into Fargo here. So that was a long day wearing a face mask. I'm not going to lie to you about that. That being said, those were the rules, right? I mean, you go buy yourself a smoothie so you can get in the corner and slowly slip one so you can pull your mask down. Yeah, been there, done that. I've tried to get as far away from people as I could, but by and large, for the most part, you wear a face mask. Those are the rules. If you get on a plane and you cause, I can go through more and more. I've got an I will break your neck story here. I've got, and the vast, vast majority of these were individuals that are mad about having to wear that mask, right? If you're doing that on a plane, you're threatening to open the door, you're threatening to get up into the cabins, you're physically assaulting a staff member, don't you belong on the no-fly list? It's a pretty simple question, folks. If that's the type of person you are, that's the type of danger that you caused everyone else, that's the type of experience that you brought, that they had to worry about a door getting opened or somebody being assaulted and mutilated and killed, let's take it there, because quite frankly, when you're punching a woman in the face, you could kill her. Okay, when you're punching anybody in the face, you could kill them. But you're a great big guy and you choose to hit an air flight attendant, you could kill her, right? should they belong on the no-fly list? That's my question of you. And when we come back, I'll explain why I'm asking it of you. Let's get, though, to the Weather Cave and visit with Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Tom? Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
J.J. Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too Tall Tom
Joel
Szymanski.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. You know, we don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. You know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
I have about, 20, 30, 40 more examples of what people have done on airplanes that got them kicked off and that were physically harmful to the flight attendants and, the crew and to the gate attendant and everything else that was involved. And a ton of them, and the vast majority of them involve wearing masks and certainly alcohol and everything that goes with it. But the point is this, when you do this, when you do that, do you belong on the no-fly list? Do you? You've put the lives of other passengers and the crew in danger. Do you belong? Are you any different than a terrorist? My answer is no, you're not any different than a terrorist. You belong on a no-fly list. You belong getting exactly what you deserved, which is to not be allowed to fly. Period. You lost that privilege. You proved you can't handle it. You proved it. Now, there's 8 United States senators that claim I'm wrong. There's 8 United States senators that say that these individuals and the whole bunch more, I could read you, have not done anything that should put them on a no-fly list. Let me tell you who they're led by. Ted Cruz, Kevin Cramer, John Hoeven. Both of our senators from North Dakota are on the team that say these people shouldn't be on the no-fly list. They're both there. Now, we've called Kevin Cramer. I used to compliment Kevin Cramer on air all the time about, hey, we may not like each other, we may not agree, but by God, he likes coming on and we have great conversations. Well, we've called twice now, he won't come on. So, boom, that honeymoon's over, apparently. But I'd love to ask him about this. I'd love to ask him why does an individual that's mad about a mask get to put anyone else's life in danger? Are we just waiting until this whole regime of mask wearing is over and then say, he can fly again. Good guy. He's not mad anymore. No, he attacked flight attendants. He endangered the people on that airplane. He has proven that he is not fit to be on that airplane. Why are my United States senators sticking up for these people? Why are they? These people are no different than terrorists, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. And I want to know what you think. Jim, you're on News and Views. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Joel. I thought these guys were supposed to be about law and order and justice and paying for your crimes, but that doesn't sound likely in their case. But here, it's not only should they be on the no-flight list, they should also face punishment in the court. But let me tell you something. I'll give you an instance as a related example as a healthcare worker, okay? I have coworkers and myself who have been yelled at in the most vulgar terms, treated terribly, had feces thrown at us, bitten, scratched, hit. One person had a fracture that I've known that since I've worked in that. And you know what the common factor in all this is? The judges never punish these people. They get away with it. They say, well, they can't. They weren't in their right mind, or they can't be held accountable, or whatever. There's never any teeth in the punishment. So they get that attitude that I could do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. And I'm sure it's the same way as the airlines and do what I want because nothing's ever going to happen to me.
I'm with you. If that's the case, Jim, which I have no reason to doubt you, any judge that would allow that to happen shouldn't be a judge. Period. I know your profession. I know you've been up against it as a medical professional, Jim. That is total BS because you guys have been working overtime and double shifts and everything trying to help people like me out. So, Jim, I'm with you. Let's get to Mary. Mary, you're on News and Views.
Yes, I agree with you that these people should not be allowed to fly. And what's wrong with these senators or whatever that are for them flying? They're nuts.
Well, I
think they ought to be punished.
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to explain to you what's driving John Hoeven on this, right? It's about the mask. Over 70% of this, 72% of all the attacks on airplanes of flight attendants and fellow passengers was about masks. They didn't want to wear them. And so if you want to be a peer, get that right-wing vote conservative, you are 100% against anybody being told they have to wear a mask, right? Now, John Hoeven, This is a direct result of Rick Becker. Don't kid yourself. John Hoven wakes up, and I don't know why, but he's waking up in the middle of the night with the chills because of Rick Becker all of a sudden. So he's become Ted Cruz and Kevin Kramer. We'll visit about it right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see
Gordon
that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
05346. That's our Laney's News and Views studio line. Of course, you can text us, and there are some interesting ones here on our iConsultants of North Dakota text club at 35270. We're discussing the fact that 8 United States senators, each one of them Republican, have decided that these individuals that I cited that have attacked flight attendants, fellow passengers, urinated on people's bags, have done all of these things and more, choked people, that they who have been placed on the no-fly list shouldn't be. And North Dakota's United States Senators, Kevin Kramer and John Hoeven, have said they shouldn't be. They, along with 6 other senators, are leading the drive to take these individuals off the no-fly list. I want to get back to the phone lines, and let's get to Cindy. Cindy, you're on News and Views.
Hi, Joel. Good morning. Calling from Mandan. Here's what is the repercussion for these people at all, and what are the senators giving you as their reasoning for not putting these people on the no-fly list? I mean, whatever happened to consequences? When we grew up, there were consequences. I think our full, it's so much deeper than this. It just goes beyond people never having to be held accountable for anything anymore. And it's like the rules are meant to be broken now, not meant to be upheld. But I agree with you, Joel. They should be totally on the no-fly list, and I agree with the other caller, should be prosecuted.
Yeah. Thank you for the call, Cindy. Thanks for.
No, what do you need?
Let me ask you this, Cindy. When you take a look at it, and you're on a plane, and you see an individual do this as they head towards the cabin, or do you consider that individual, because you're up in the middle of the air with a group of people, right? You are about as vulnerable as you could. Would you consider that person a terrorist?
Absolutely. If that was a foreign entity that did that, we would be on them like crazy. But because it's our own, we don't do anything. But they are no different. No different.
Thanks for listening in, Mandan, Cindy. I really appreciate it. Let's get to Bob. Bob, you're on News and Views.
Yeah, Joel, in order to put it in perspective, first you have to call these people what they are. They're a bunch of whiners.
I agree. It goes way further than whining, though, right? I mean, I sat next to a person that didn't want to be wearing his mask. He did, because those were the rules. I didn't want to be wearing my mask, but I did because those were the rules. And, we probably were whiners a little bit, but I'll tell you what, we weren't terrorists. We weren't attacking people. I asked Bob, a flight attendant, because I was in the very back row, right next to where people wait in line is where I was, Bob, right? And
okay.
I asked her, I said, how is it going? And she just looked at me and she went, ugh. And I said, no, I said, I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I'm just curious how you're holding up. She said, you have no idea how bad it's gotten. And
really? Now
I've got 2 United States senators that could care less what she said. And that ticked me off this morning, Bob. It really did.
I hear you, Joe. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's get to Fred. Fred, you're on News and Views.
Joe, good morning. Joe, regarding the mask issue, especially with Hoeven, when he was first elected, wasn't the situation when he traveled to and from Washington that he had to have a state-funded personal police bodyguard with him for his own protection? And because of that, wouldn't he feel now not threatened if he got on a plane and there were passengers on there that should be on a no-fly list, but yet they're not? I wonder if he feels threatened or not threatened now because of this.
Trust me, Fred, the John Hoeven that owns the banks, that has been in public office for as long as he has, he knows where the jet center is. He knows where the private jets are. So thank you, Fred. It's a fair question, though, right? I mean, would that same John Hoeven that expects all this security around himself, staff and everything else, I was amazed because I did an interview with someone recently, and I'm not going to say who the public official is, but I did it on my TV show, and he was surrounded with so much security. And I'm like, what the heck happened to you? I'm like, you're the guy that I would have said, hey, hop in the pickup and, let's go see if we can't shoot some stripies kind of a guy, and that apparently is gone awry. That's gone a little bit to his head. But next time you get on a plane, next time you see that flight attendant, next time you see that pilot, walk up to them and say, do you believe these individuals who attack your coworkers, who attack their fellow passengers, who urinate on their bags, belong on a no-fly list? Because I need to know personally why and I didn't vote for him, I know that. But that means that my taxes go to them. They're my United States senators. Why Kevin Kramer and John Hoeven would want these individuals to be off the no-fly list? Why? I don't get it. I don't. Roger, you are on News and Views. Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, Joel, if you got the time, I got about 3 quick stories I think can relate to this.
I got the time as long as you don't cuss or make them too long. Go.
I'll try to be careful on the cussing part. But anyway, that gentleman made that comment about judges not doing anything when these guys end up in court and you got lawyers that are just as bad. The whole legal system sucks. I know a few good lawyers, but I can count them on one hand. I know a lot of garbage lawyers, and I don't have enough digits to even start. I have an example where a lawyer, and I'm not going to say which city because I'll give him the benefit of a little bit of anonymity, but he used to work as a public defender in a fairly large city, and whoever got him as their lawyer, it was automatic. They were going to get found guilty because the guy was lazy. Then he turns around, now he's a goddamn judge, and he's no better as a judge. Where's our bar association checking this garbage out? Yeah. Second, you get on a goddamn airplane. I don't think people realize the damage that is caused to a human body at high altitude when you have decompression. I don't think they have a clue. Maybe that should be one of the ads that's put on in the news media or on these TVs and stuff, showing what parts of the body go where when things go south on you at 40,000 feet and you suddenly get decompression. There's such attitude of it's all about me. Mm-hmm. There's no accountability. Every time somebody stands up to call somebody out, they're the SOBs because they're wanting accountability. You go back to the former leadership of this country, it was no damn bit better. It was all about him. We got people that just think it's all about me, and anytime somebody stands up to them, they're chastised. We have lost the ability to debate issues. It's all about arguing.
Yeah.
Previous generation, they would take pride in who could out-debate the other guy, and when it was all over, they were still friends that had drinks. There's too much of this freedom of do whatever you want because there's no accountability. You and I'm older than you, but I know damn well we got in hot water in school. That was nothing compared to what we're going to get when we got home.
Yep, exactly. Roger.
And, I mean, there's just no accountability out here, and you don't have to beat the crap out of people, but they have to be held accountable for their actions, and there's none of that.
Well, then let me ask you, Roger. Let me make you that judge that actually belonged on the bench. Should these people that I just read, should they be off the no-fly list?
Be off the no-fly list?
Yeah, right now they're on a no-fly list because those are the rules.
Okay, did you say off or on?
Okay, let me explain what's happened so far. These individuals are on the no-fly list. What our two senators in North Dakota are doing is working to get them off the no-fly list.
Oh, absolutely, they should be on the no-fly list.
There, that's what I'm hoping.
I mean, I'm sorry, but we got leaders in this state and other states that got no backbone because they're so dang afraid of the political pressure. And I don't give a dang what the party is. Just has we have more of the R's than the D's in this state. But look at the stuff that's going on. I mean, it's just pathetic. And yet you try to have a sincere discussion with someone, and unless you know who you're talking to, you kind of want to pick who you want to talk to because some people just can't take it, and all of a sudden they're blowing up and name calling's coming out and everything else. It's just a sad state of society. But on the other hand, I just have to say our enemies, whether it's Putin or China or whoever, it's got to be doing a frickin' jig somewhere.
Oh,
because
you know it.
They've got in our media situation so bad, and people think that if it's on the media, it's got to be true.
Yep. Thank you, Roger. Imagine a scenario where where you are an enemy of the United States of America, and you see us now, and the 2 of the 100 highest offices that you can possibly hold are United States Senate seats from the state of North Dakota. Those are 2 of the highest ranking seats that you can get. In fact, let's look at it from the legislative branch. It doesn't get any higher, right? You can talk about being president of the Senate, which means you're vice president of the United States, all of that. But you're one of 100 people. In this case, you're 2 of 100 people in the state of North Dakota. We've given you those jobs, and you don't believe these people belong on the no-fly list. And it goes back to what Roger just said. And I'm just going to paraphrase what he said. I don't want to put words. It's fear. It is fear. It is fear of the people that you need to have the common sense to take on. And sometimes they come from within your own party. Okay, so know that. Sometimes they come from within your own ilk. And so you're John Hoeven, and you've got Rick Becker. Now, Kevin Kramer will jump a dance, do a jig if right now Donald Trump says, get down here and shine my boots. He's on his way, right? He's saying, are you sending the plane, or can I fly commercial and punch a stewardess for all I know, right? Or flight attendant. Let me just say this, though. I didn't expect that out of Hoeven. But Rick Becker, keep that name in mind, Rick Becker. John Hoeven goes to bed every night going, how can I show people that I've gotten more conservative than Rick Becker so I don't lose those Republican votes? Because John Hoeven's going to win that nomination, but he wants to win it with 80% of the vote. And I'll tell you what, this is the way to make sure that other 40% that might vote against him votes with him. Well, I guess John's okay with those guys punching the flight attendant. If he's okay, I'm okay. That tells me that these Nazis that are making us wear a mask, I'm sick of masks. I think it's time to change some of the policies when it comes to masks. But when I got on that airplane the other day, that was the policy. That was the rule. I wore my mask. I respected the people that worked in that airplane. I did exactly what they told me to do when they told me to do it. Because I wasn't the only one on that plane. It wasn't some private jet that I had chartered, right? I was flying commercially with other citizens, with other human beings, and I owed them the same respect. And so if I had chose to get up and choke a stewardess, punch a stewardess, if I had stormed the cabin, the man mentioned depressurization, what can happen to a human being. This isn't a joke, ladies and gentlemen, on what can happen in an airplane. That's terrorism. That is. And if you're going to tell me that those people should have a right to fly because it makes you a supporter of pulling all masks off, so thereby you're got all these folks that are very, very conservative on your side now because they never liked masks in the first place. So by God, he's with us. He's anti-mask. This guy that punched a flight attendant, she had it coming. John, what's happened to you? I mean, is that what you want your legacy to be in public service? Do you want to wake up one morning, look in the mirror and say, the job was so important to me that the best way I could keep it was to become this kind of a human being? What's happened to you? Let's get to the weather cave and get to Too Tall Tom. Tom?
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Forces.
Too Tall Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Scott. Scott, you're on first. Go ahead.
Hi, Joel. I mean, I agree with you as far as getting the people on the no-fly list. But I also have an issue. What about the illegal immigrants that don't have to provide any ID? All they have to do is provide an arrest warrant to get on the airplane with TSA. I mean, that's I think a way bigger issue. I mean, but both of them should be addressed. What do you think about that, Joel?
Well, I don't know your side of that issue. I mean, you're speaking to something that I don't have facts on. What I do have is facts on people attacking flight attendants. And so, to say it's equally as big of an issue, my first instinct, Scott, is to just say no. So thanks for the call. Let's get to Rick. Rick, you're on News and Views.
Hey, Joel, how you doing?
Doing well.
Awesome. Mask are something that I know a little about because I've been trained, I'm certified to remove asbestos. And from what I see, that unless you're wearing an N95 mask, they offer
I got
little
30
protection.
seconds, Rick, so pick her up.
All right, they offer very little protection. And even if the person next to you, even if you're wearing an N95 mask, if the person next to you is not wearing one and they have the virus, they sneeze.
Yeah,
it
but
can
you're
go in your
debating
eyes.
masks, Rick. I'm debating whether they can punch a flight attendant. That's what I'm talking about. I got a message here from somebody that spray painted cars. He said, you know what? I painted cars all my life, and and I had to wear a mask to do it. And I haven't attacked anyone yet, Joel. So that's what this conversation is about. The mask might be the cause of it, but that doesn't justify it. That's my point. There's going to become a day when we don't have to wear masks in airports. I don't know when that day is, but I know between then and now, I don't have a right to punch a flight attendant and have 2 United States senators say I can still get on a plane the next day. Period.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night. And I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
J.J. Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
State University. He's got groupies out there, ladies and gentlemen. Before, in the beginning of the show, I mentioned I was going to have him on and just how he can put things in a perspective where even those individuals that might not be familiar with the geography or the politics can get it. And you have to love an instructor like that. He's willing to give us more of his time. Dr. Ambrosia, good to have you back on News and Views.
Glad to be here.
Has your
things are exciting, and I was just thinking of the Ukrainians have been training women, and according to the Beatles song, the Ukraine girls really knocked me out. So
she suckered you right in with that song, didn't she? She knows I'm not a fan of the Beatles, and then it comes on. I'm like, oh, I know what Abby's up to now. I can tell.
Exactly.
So, and I did see the footage of, I want to say she was 78-year-old grandmother. That they had that. Did you see that?
I saw that. I saw another woman whose son is in the volunteer, and she's like, "Well, I'm not going to go home because my kid's here. I'm going to fight next to him." So, yeah.
So what this points to is what you said when we had you on just a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I said, "Is this going to happen?" And you said, "I have no doubt it's going to happen." So I want to see if you've changed your mind. Will the Russians invade? More than what they already have, Ukraine?
Well, it's interesting. So we had this whole statement that was made by the president of Ukraine saying the Russians are invading basically today on Wednesday, the 16th. And this supposedly came out of Western intelligence sources, real specificity. And I was actually telling my students yesterday, I've never seen a foreign policy situation really develop like this. Because we have no idea what's going on. We have a president of a country coming out and saying, here's the date. And then, coming out, immediately afterwards saying, JK, just joking, I was being sarcastic. And it's either people are playing three-dimensional chess or we have monkeys playing with chess pieces. Yeah. I'm not sure where the truth lies. It's somewhere in the middle.
But that's the fair question, right? I mean, you've got, right. and granted, he was a comedian before he ran, but the man talking about a day of harmony or something like that. It's right. I walk away from it at times, Dr. Ambrosia, and I'm like, why are we in this? Why are we knee deep in this, and why are we the top ones out there speaking to it and saying this is what we have to do about it? That I think is a fair question.
It is. And, again, especially the Ukrainians are saying we don't expect it, initially before the statement yesterday and even today, we don't expect an invasion. What is the White House, the U.S. saying that the Russians are going to be invading? Is this some weird, cynical attempt by the Biden administration to make Biden look presidential? I don't honestly know what's going on here. I don't want to put on a tinfoil hat. So I do think Russia certainly has intentions on changing the dynamics in Ukraine. The statement that they gave, again, so this all started with a Russian buildup, but what really intensified the war fears is that the Kremlin presented a draft treaty to the U.S. and to NATO, in which they made basically outrageous, unacceptable demands that I find it hard that Putin can back off from, that we can give him anything that would actually satisfy those demands. So if he does go in, I will not be surprised. If he doesn't go in, my personal belief, again, I don't know what's going on either in what intelligence the White House is getting, what's going on in the Kremlin. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. But I think that maybe deterrence will work. The cost would simply be too high in terms of how the Ukrainians have prepared, how we have prepared them, as well as the estimated or expected sanctions that the West would put on Russia. So it could be seen as a foreign policy success. My wife and I were talking about this, and I was mentioning the whole monkeys playing chess. She's like, well, if it gets to the same result of avoiding a war, I guess that's a good thing. So maybe that's true.
Yeah. Has this shown any major divides or weaknesses in NATO?
No, in fact, I think it really has. Well, I would say it has united at some level. It has also shown that NATO has a real weakness at its heart, and that is Germany. Germany has historically had a pro-Russian policy, going back to the Ostpolitik, as they called it, which basically meant we have to reduce tensions. Part of this is war guilt. Part of this has been intensified by their reliance on Russian natural gas. Part of it has to do with Germany positioning itself as the peacemaker, even in the face of an aggressive Russia. So NATO has a weakness, and an alliance is only as strong as its weakest point, and that at least has been exposed, that Germany has shown itself not to be a really reliable ally, potentially, if push comes to shove.
And that was the one that I thought you might speak to, that you might say, yes, that there is a weakness here. This is something that, you can take a step back and say the Germans weren't there. They were concerned about, the pipeline. They were, I don't know if that in the end is going to be enough. What I do know is, for me personally is this, that if you take a look at what Vladimir Putin believes, Dr. Ambrosio, you've been right all along. He wants the USSR back. He does. He wants the USSR back.
Yeah, and there's also some other things that have happened. Again, we have this whole date that just is passing, but other statements that's coming out of Moscow, which makes me think that maybe things have not been resolved. The de-escalation is not occurring. Putin yesterday says what's happening in the eastern part of Ukraine is genocide. Well, how do you walk back from genocide? They're talking about potentially recognizing the eastern part of Ukraine as independent. So there's a lot of kind of contradictory things happening at the same time. It is highly possible that Putin is backing down, and that this is a great foreign policy success for the West, and quite frankly for President Biden, to show unity, to show deterrence, and to have Russia back down. It's also equally possible that these videos that the Kremlin sent out saying, we're withdrawing troops, is just a diversion to make people reduce their readiness, and then you use that as then you create an opportunity to have more military success. So it's unclear.
So is this potentially for a man who, when he looks in the mirror, he sees the strongest world leader out there? Vladimir Putin, is this potentially his Khrushchev moment, the Cuban Missile Crisis, where, history looks at him as though he backed down and he was never as tough as what he was?
I think so, yes. If we do find out that the Russians are going to withdraw and we don't see any further action against Ukraine, Putin backed down, and granted, he has a great deal of control over his media, so his own people won't see this, but everyone around will see that, everyone else will see that Russia backed down.
Yeah. Do you have a little more time to give me, Professor? So
Absolutely.
I want to bring China into this conversation. There's a lot of people who think this was a deflect, this was a watch us over here, I'll help you with Taiwan type conversation. I want your take on that. But first, let's get to the weather cave and find Mr. Too Tall Tom Szymanski.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins, News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
At NDSU, a lot of compliments coming in for him from former students here to the KFGO studio. Dr. Ambrosia, I wanted to bring China into this conversation about Ukraine and the Olympics. China and Russia, their alliance. Some say that this is get the U.S., get NATO's focus on Ukraine, and then all of a sudden China's going to do what they want to do with Taiwan, and we're not going to be ready. Your thoughts?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think that we would know. In order to invade Taiwan, there would be a much larger and much more obvious buildup on the coast of China than we would even see with Russia. So I don't think we would be distracted enough to, the Ukraine situation. I don't think it's planned between Russia and China that, you do this, we do this. But what has happened is that the two sides have been drawn closer by this and have been, drawing closer for, well over a decade now. And one thing that's happened that's kind of been not really focused on, given everyone's, looking at Russia and Ukraine, is that President Putin and President Xi of China signed a joint statement on the kind of sidelines of the Olympics, which is a significant document. It's about 5,000 words. It's a little bit lengthy, but it in essence solidifies, for all intents and purposes, what is an alliance between the two countries. They don't call it an alliance. They are not committed to defending each other's territory like NATO, but for all intents and purposes, Russia and China have laid down their marker and said, we fundamentally disagree with the direction of the current world order led by the United States, and we are both committed to working with each other and with other countries to overturning it.
Dr.
So
Ambrose,
it's a pretty significant document.
Yeah, and it should be one that gets everyone's attention. There are some that say that China isn't going to, or not China, but Russia isn't going to make this move until after the Olympics because of their alliance with China. Your thoughts on that?
That is very possible. That, again, these videos released by the Kremlin about troop withdrawals is not actually true, and that they're just repositioning troops at best, and then they will wait for after the Olympics. That is very likely. Again, weather is part of this. We talked about it last time I was on, that they want to make sure the ground is frozen so that tanks can move more easily, and it's there pretty much now, but will be thawing out within the next month or so. In addition, Ukraine is becoming more and more militarized, more and more nationalistic. We're sending more and more weapons in, which means that if Putin's going to go, he's going to kind of have to go now or never. It's going to be even only more difficult in the future. And we can't think about these calculations in terms of a snapshot of time. These leaders are thinking about power over time. And Ukraine is moving further away from Russia because of this, but also because of everything that's happened since 2014. And their military is becoming more adept or more prepared to deal with Russia. And it's kind of now or never. So if we don't see things happen within the next few weeks, we may never see it at all.
Quick question for you, Dr. Ambrosia. I've got about 40 seconds left. I know that's short here. Somebody wants me to ask about the North Crimean Canal and the role it plays in this controversy. They're hitting me with something I have no idea about.
Well, yeah. So Crimea, of course, doesn't have any access to water, which has been a problem. It is geographically disconnected from Russia proper, though the Russians have built a very, very expensive bridge to link the two. And one option would be for Russia, if they were to go in, I would never thought they would try to take all of Ukraine. At kind of one of the things I would expect if they did do anything would be to link Crimea into kind of a larger Russia in order to ensure that Crimea is able to get the resources it needs.
Okay.
But also the Russians, by building that bridge and by locking things down, have made it very difficult for Ukraine to do its commerce.
I've got to go, Dr. Ambrosio. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you,
there's a lot going on.
Appreciate it. We'll visit again.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. All right, bye.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense
Play what you like and not what you might think that I like or our audience likes?
This is a wonderful intro.
You don't like Jim Croce and you play him.
No, I like that song, though. It reminds me of Farmers Union Camp. I like Elvis.
All right. Right to repair. Do you know what that is?
You have told me a bit about it.
Right to repair needs to pass. Now, for you farmers out there, get ready, because if you're going bald, well, you actually know about it, right? You're probably ripping out your hair some more. If you're not going bald, then keep your hat on. So here's what's happening. Farmers are buying a huge, expensive piece of equipment. They own it, right? They wrote a check and they took a chance on it. Doesn't matter if it's green or red or yellow or whatever, but understand they own it. Now, the one thing farmers are good at, by and large, not every farmer is, but the vast majority are, is fixing things. You can count on a farmer to fix things. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong. But if they own it, that's up to them. If they fix it right or wrong, if they need help or don't need help. What I know is they should have what they need to get it fixed. And they're not getting all of that in today's economy and in today's world. John Tester, and one of the reasons that I flew out to D.C. recently was to talk with him, to visit with John Tester. Now, he's a United States Senator for Montana, a big part of our listening audience here, because a part of our family and who we get a chance to be with is Key 660 out of Williston. Now, their signal is a boomer. Their signal goes everywhere, and there's a ton of people listening to us right now in eastern parts of Montana. You should be proud of this man. You should. You should be proud of John Tester, because what the senator is doing is he's advancing a bill he calls right to repair. It's farm equipment and empowering family farms. It's the aim of Senator Tester's new groundbreaking legislation. The bill allows farmers to repair their own equipment. It breaks up consolidation in repair markets. How many of you that are listening couldn't get the part? You couldn't get the part. And so you were completely reliant on the dealer or the manufacturer to fix it. Now, I'm sorry, but that doesn't go in line with how your dad and your mom raised you, right? It doesn't go in line with how you run your operation. You fix things. You own them, and you should be allowed to fix them. And that's what Tester's saying. And he's making enemies doing it. Yes. John Deere, Titan, none of these, or I shouldn't say Titan, and yeah, I'm sure Ronnie Offit, doesn't exactly like the right to repair. But I don't care. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care. I think the product's good. It's solid. It's why people buy it. Whether it's red or green, I think that they have a great history of service, but they shouldn't take the right away for you to attempt or to service. And that's the point of this legislation. Sell me the part. Give me the part. Let's do commerce here, but let me fix it. Or at least let me try to fix it and maybe cut down on some of those costs. Now, when I visited with John Tester in D.C., there's one thing that he made perfectly clear to me, and he told me to go home and do. He said, go home and convince John Hoeven and Kevin Kramer to sign on to this bill. Now, he's got Republicans on the bill. In fact, if you go south, where a lot of people are listening to us right now, you're not going to find a problem when it comes to South Dakota. Where the problem lies is in North Dakota. So why not? Why not sign on to that bill? And the only way it's going to happen, apparently, because of close relationships with dealers, with individuals that hold a great big stick in some of the other states as well, but this is where they call home. Take a look at where Ron Offit starts, where this all begins. I don't dislike Ronnie Offit. I don't know Ronnie Offit. I know this. Many of you count on his dealerships. So this isn't a slam on him as much as there should be no fear of him or the product line. or the individuals that manufacture the products. What Tester is trying to do is advocate and stick up for you, the farmer. Now, I don't know how many of you have attempted it, couldn't get the part. I don't know how many. I don't know how big the problem is. In talking to John Tester in D.C., the problem's big. It's significant. So much, in fact, that he's willing to put his name on it, go out there and work it. And he wants bipartisan support. He's urging the administration to get behind this. He's urging others to sit there and say, hop on. The agricultural right to prepare needs help. Now, let me go to the Montana Farmers Union, for example. They're talking here in the quote that I'm reading online about how they appreciate Senator Tester standing with family farms and ranches and demanding that the equipment manufacturers allow us the right to repair our own equipment. That being said by Walter Schweitzer, agriculture is a stressful line of work, as is we can't control the weather, prices for our production, inputs, all of that. What he's saying is that Senator Tester is trying to control one thing, which is our right to repair or to give it a shot, right? It's just common sense. It's long overdue. And it should shield you from stopping and waiting. Now, if Tester is way off on this, then you've got Republican and Democrat, that are wrong. You've got Republican and Democrat that apparently are listening to constituents and they're being told they can't do this and they're wrong. And somebody said, don't just say Ron, Joel, don't be chicken enough to say Dave Meyer from Titan. You bet. He calls this home as well. These are huge dealers all around the area. What I'm talking about is not being afraid of them, sitting down with them and saying, look, you sell a product line. You sell Case IH. You sell John Deere. Go talk to them. I know you run great service departments, and who knows? Maybe you're going to need to send the truck out there. Or maybe they're going to need to send it to you. But if they can fix it, isn't that their right to fix it or to try to fix it? And that's what John Tester is saying. That's why, when I snuck away and talked to him about this, I thought, I'm going to ask him about the bill, ask about whether or not the bill's lip service, that type of thing. You would not believe the animation he brought. You would not believe the passion he brought. Pretty soon the finger pointing came out. You go home. You go home to North Dakota. You do everything you can to get these guys on board with me. I've got Republicans on board with me. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue. I need them. I need John Hoeven and I need Kevin Kramer, and I can't figure out why I can't get them. So I've already got messages coming in here saying, go Tester. Go get them. Joel, some of the shop rates I'm looking at are astronomical. I want a chance to fix this. Joel, and here's one that you got to keep in mind. Some saying that farmers have demanded technology and they can't repair and fix it anymore. Can you repair things on your vehicle? Well, I don't have a multi-million-dollar shop either. I don't have the type of equipment that it would take to give it a shot and to fix things. Another one, Joel, this is becoming a big deal in the automotive industry as well. Maybe you should ask others about that. You're right. You're right. It's one thing to not have the skill, the talent, the knowledge to fix it. I get that. But it's another thing. It's completely another thing to tell them you can't have it. And that's where John Tester is. That's what he's mad about. Chris, you're on News and Views. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Joel. This past Saturday morning, I was able to attend the North Dakota State University Ag Engineering. It's a show, basically, that the students put on describing some of the latest and greatest engineering technology out there. And so anyway, one of the ones is the new John Deere sprayer has has a nozzle. It consists of 5 nozzles, and it's controlled by a computer. And so the way when some of us hit a pole or a tree, we knock a nozzle off, we fix it, it's about $20, and you go on spraying. Well, this particular situation, this nozzle is about $200, which is expensive in itself.
Mm-hmm.
However, the scary part was you can replace the nozzle, but the dealership has to come out and reprogram it, stick their computer up to this particular nozzle and sync it with the computer in the cab of the sprayer. So not only do we have something that's 10 times as much to replace, you're looking at another $200 at a minimum to get you going again. So technology is great when it works, but this is expensive. And it would be real nice with this right to repair bill that we would have our own laptop with that software available, that we could just do it right in the field.
I don't get it, Chris. I don't. I mean, I think of you. I can recognize the voice, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a lifelong friend that's calling in, and believe me, he's not afraid to vote both ways. So there's your disclaimer out there. What I don't get is why, at least in farm states, I mean, it would take me 2 seconds to sign on this bill. And here's the thing, Chris, you can't make the bill better unless you're on it. I mean, that's the best way to fix a bill, is to get in the room as co-sponsors and work it. And so I can't understand why farm states wouldn't sign on to this bill. Down in South Dakota, yes. North Dakota, no. Why not?
You can't answer. This bill originated in the Nebraska State House, and there's a state government, and they had difficulty doing it. And it also, the reason the pushback is this has to do with Apple phones, any kind of technology that the company has to give you or provide the software. That, they don't have to give it to you for free, but you can't even buy it now, much less use it. It has to be done by a dealership.
Yeah. So the legislation's needed, is what you're saying.
So, yes. And so did Mr. Senator Tester have a problem with getting our delegation on board with this? Has he asked them?
Yes. I knew that this was one of the issues that he wanted to talk about, which is why we snuck away into a corner. And the thing, Chris, that he pushed the hardest. I mean, I got the finger in the face going, when you go home, you use what power you have on the airways to make the public aware of this and get me the help of those 2 senators. He said, I got to have it. I need it. He said, and I'm not struggling getting Republicans to do this. He said, I'm just struggling getting those Republicans to do this. So my guess is you owe him a phone call. Do what you can. Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I will do that.
All right.
Thank you much.
Thanks for calling in. Let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom. Tom?
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
JJ Gordon from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall, Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you...
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Here's a perfect example of a completely not understanding what the conversation is about. Yeah, I called the text messenger out. It says, Joel, you don't have a clue about repairing farm equipment or vehicles. Lay off the BS. How many farmers want to buy a $200,000 piece of equipment that is required to do the testing and repair? You don't get it. I don't know of any farmer in the world that is going to hire Joel Heitkamp to fix their gear. I don't know any farm. They might hire me to bring a six-pack at the end of it. They might hire me to bring over the 9/16, that type of thing. I'm going to get busted knuckles changing the blades on my John Deere lawnmower, which I love, by the way. I'm not criticizing a brand. So you're right. I don't know how to fix it. But the people that do deserve the right to have a chance to. So let's let the elevator go to the top floor here. Okay, let's not go in the hate Joel mode in the middle. Now, grab your pen and paper. Okay, grab your pen and paper. Kevin Kramer's office number. You ready for it? 202-224-2043. 202-224-2043. John Hoven's number, 202-224-2551. 202-224-2551. In other words, everything's the same, but one's 2043, one is 2551. There you have it. Now, got a couple of things. Number one, the right to repair. Tell them to hop on with Tester and Thune and these individuals in the bipartisan group that say, hey, we got to get this passed. Also, tell them to knock it off and quit letting these guys on the plane. They don't belong on the plane. Good riding with you, folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So